Alicia Powe, the Gateway Pundit. I just left the courtroom in the federal courthouse where the Proud Boys are in trial, and their jury selection is underway. And it's really been, some of the defense attorneys have said this is unprecedented, where every single person that is selected as a potential juror is extremely biased. I can only describe the juror members as the same folks we interact with at the Women's March and the Black Lives Matter rallies. They come in on the stand and they immediately say the Proud Boys are a white supremacist group. And the judge doesn't retort. It seems like the judge is working to be fair and really has to try to be fair, because I would suspect the judge holds the same bias about the Proud Boys so far, considering one of the jurors that's been selected is a Black Lives Matter activist. Another, they've all exemplified a strong left-wing bias. In fact, the prosecution on the right side of the room, they're all in these dirty masks, just promoting this COVID lie in this courtroom. Masks are optional now in Washington, D.C., but all of the government prosecutors are in masks, and every juror that takes the stand, the judge has to ask the potential juror to remove their dirty mask so that we can hear them. And when they start to speak, they insist that the Proud Boys are a white supremacist, racist group. They know every negative propaganda point that's been leveled by the mainstream media and Democrats about Proud Boys. And they insist, each potential juror insists that they can put their biases aside. And we can just go to the rally in front of the Supreme Court where everyone was rallying for late-term abortions, and you're dealing with the same groupthink mentality mob. And so we're really going to need a miracle to show up. The defense attorneys are going to make a free speech argument. One of the defense attorneys is the same lawyer who represented Alex Jones, Norm Pattis, and they're going to ask the judge to have this case litigated in a different state, because in this area where everyone works for the federal government, everyone's a default leftist in Washington, D.C., apparently. At least 100 potential jury members have taken the stand and have exhibited a distinct, clear as day, brazen liberal bias. And I'll say I'm really grateful to be here. Enrique Tarrio is my friend. Joe Biggs is my friend. These are not white supremacists. These are people who are patriots. Joe Biggs is a Purple Heart veteran who served this nation. And they are not white supremacists. It's absurd. And yet everyone's under this hypnotic state, regurgitating lies sold to them by CNN and George Soros. So I have hope here that just by us showing up to the courtroom and reporting on what's happening, there's kind of a matrix and energy where we can put some eyeballs on the judge to do the right thing versus no one showing up. And thank God the Proud Boys have, it looks to be some tremendous lawyers, a legal team that is speaking up and calling out the biases of these potential jury members. And we'll see how it goes from here. We're going to be, this jury selection process is going to be underway for at least the next few days. But I understand that they have had approximately 100 potential jurors, and so far 2 have been selected or 4 have been selected. Now they need to have 46 jurors to qualify. One was striked down today, and this woman, I mean, the incendiary things that she says about Trump's policies and immigration. Thank God the judge struck her down and didn't qualify her. So that's where we're at. We have Enrique Tarrio, a leader of the Proud Boys. They're facing sedition charges. Joe Biggs, Dominic Zola, and the other defendant, Randy, also here with Randy Ireland, founder of Americans for Justice. And Randy has been to every J6 trial, and
Well, not everyone.
Well, many of them.
And the one thing I will say is, it's probably much different than the Oath Keeper trial, what we saw go on in the Oath Keeper trial. The energy in this courtroom is so different amongst these defendants. I know each and every single one of them personally. And, it's just a more upbeat Satario with his charisma, looking around and smiling, and that kind of thing. And every now and again, when a potential juror answers something or says something that's so preposterous.
Preposterous. A lot of preposterous, ridiculous statements coming out of these default Democrat potential jury members here. So there's a lot of ridiculousness. The Proud Boys are a white supremacist activist group who promote racism, and one potential juror was at the Women's March, though. And she alleges and accuses the Proud Boys of conspiring an insurrection online. Or they're guilty. They use social media to conspire this big demonstration. Well, what was the Women's March? What was the Kavanaugh protest? What have the left-wingers been doing in our nation's capital, burning stuff down, setting buildings on fire? Joe Biggs and Enrique Tarrio didn't commit a crime, didn't act violently that day. They just showed up, essentially. And so because of their prominent roles in leadership in the Patriot movement, they are facing sedition charges. And then one potential juror claimed that they all claim they don't know much about Proud Boys. They don't know much about January 6th, and they can put their biases aside.
Oh, yeah.
And yet they continue to espouse every propaganda talking point from the mainstream media. So that's where we're at today, Pete. I'm grateful to be here and to be in this hearing, and I will be for the next several weeks to bring you updates. And we'll be back again. We're gonna the court's gonna convene again in a few minutes. They're on a lunch recess, and we'll probably be here to 5, 6 o'clock that night. I don't know what you're saying. Just tell us what you're trying to tell me, Randy.
The one thing we do want to mention is that these guys are allowed to. They've all been had haircuts.
Right.
They're shaved. They're in suits. So at least that's one thing that in some of these trials they come in an orange jumpsuit.
Right.
So,
we've heard that the J6 defendants, the political prisoners, are deprived of razors unless they get the vaccine and they comply with the vaccine mandate. They can't attend church. They don't have visitation, even computer visitation. So thankfully, for whatever miraculous reason, today the J6 defendants, Enrique and Joe, they're in their suits. They're clean shaven, have haircuts, and they're not showing up here looking like terrorists today. So that's one good point that Randy wanted to point out. Do you have anything to ask about, Pete? Is there anything else you'd like to know? Because that's really the skinny happening here.
That's
one rabid left-wing radical after another, insisting that they're going to put their bias aside, and the judge is primarily letting them through. And it's like, well, how many of these biased jurors are you going to see in the jury pool? Because then you're automatically going to get the government. You're siding with the government and the government prosecutors, and it's just it's amazing. These prosecutors representing the government, like I said, they're sitting there in their dirty masks, and they sit and defend why any juror was struck down for exemplifying brazen bias. So, like I said, the defense attorneys say they've never seen anything like it. All they are begging for is just one fair juror so far, which none of them have been.
Perfect. Alicia, thank you. Now, this is Tuesday, January 3rd. This is the first day that you're in the courtroom, and we'll be doing reports like this. As things go, obviously, jury selection is much more boring. So this particular event that's taking place, we're going to be giving you updates at the noon recess. And then tonight, when you let out, what time do you expect that the evening recess will come?
I would suspect everything adjourns around 5 or 6. I mean, this could go on forever. Remember, been 100 potential jurors. Most of them have been struck down. So the judge is at least exhibiting some partiality here, some fairness, because if he didn't and he let anyone through, it'd be absolutely just a shellacking by the prosecution against the Proud Boys.
Right. Alicia, thank you very much. So this is it's 1:35 on Tuesday, January 3rd. I appreciate your update. Thank you. And we'll talk to you this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I encourage everyone watching to pray justice prevails, because it's going to take a miracle in this swampy town here.
One of the most important challenges our country is facing is healthcare. Hi, this is Pete Santilli, and I want to introduce you to Global Tech, and that's with a K, MD. This is a 100% conservative, patriot-run telemedicine company dedicated to health freedom for all Americans. But don't take my word for it. Just take a look at their board of directors. Deb and I joined Global Tech MD, and I tell you, we couldn't be happier. We got the first month for only $9.95, and you will too by using promo code PETE. Or by calling 844-GLOBE-MD. That's 844-456-2363. Or go to globaltechmd.com. Global Tech MD gives you so much medical guidance without ever leaving the comfort of your home. You get access to U.S. board-certified doctors in your area 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with no consultation fees, no copays, and no walk-in clinics. And the best part is, it covers your entire family. Global Tech MD also gets you up to 85% savings on prescription drugs at participating pharmacies. And did you know 73% of all doctor visits can be avoided with a simple telemedicine phone call? Stop paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month on expensive health care. Global Tech MD is redefining what it means to make house calls. Call them from the comfort of your home, and one of their network doctors will call you back within minutes. Don't wait. Call 844-GLOBE-MD or globaltechmd.com today. That's globaltechmd.com.